And we're back here at Tournament Central for the 2022 Elkhart County Historical Museum Collections Tournament. Today in the Elite Eight, we have Michelle's bracket, where she'll be presenting the history of the Miles Brochure for the 1980 Olympics, going up against the skeleton. Will the mystery of the skeleton be revealed in this round? Well, let's send it to Michelle to see if we can find out.
Welcome to my Elite Eight bracket. Thank you all for voting. And speaking of votes, winning its first round by just one tiebreaker vote, we've got my first object, which is the 1980 Alka-Seltzer advertising campaign for the 1980 Olympics. So as promised, we're going to delve a little bit more into that campaign. So the tagline for the campaign, featured prominently there on the front, is "We'll be there." So kind of, we'll be there for you when you're in pain, we'll be there for the athletes, we'll be there at the 1980 Olympics. So that was the tagline. And the two spokespeople were Sammy Davis Jr., who did a series of ads for Alka-Seltzer in the late 1970s, and Speedy Alka-Seltzer, the mascot you probably will recognize. He regularly makes it into sort of top 10 lists of most recognizable ad mascots of all time. Speedy would have been about 30 years old at that point. Speedy was developed in 1951 for Alka-Seltzer and was regularly featured in ads over the years. In fact, he is the one that first sang the iconic jingle. Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. And, but what's interesting is this was kind of the last time people would see Speedy for quite some time. He was actually retired following this campaign in 1980. And then he did not return to Alka-Seltzer advertising until 2006. They brought him back for the 75th anniversary of the launch of Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer being launched in 1931. And in fact, this little bobblehead here is a 75th anniversary edition bobblehead of that. Another really interesting thing about this campaign was that it featured a sweepstakes. You could enter to win prizes and support the Olympic team. But one of the prizes actually represents an international outcry. So if you want to hear that story, you'll have to vote the brochure on to the Final Four. I look forward to seeing what you pick. So here we are again with the skeleton. Welcome back. And unlike the brochure, the skeleton won its bracket in a landslide. It seems like you guys were really interested in seeing what that mystery note said. And I won't keep you in suspense any longer. Here's the big reveal. It said, "Ask Bradford for details and owner. Believe it's IOOF." Well, leaving aside the mystery of who Bradford is and why we never got those details, the important phrase here is "believe it's IOOF." That finally gave us a place to start, something to research, something to figure out. Why, is there examples of the IOF having skeletons? What's the story there? And the research yielded some very interesting results. But first, I'll explain what the IOF is. So IOF stands for Independent Order of Odd Fellows. It was a fraternal organization started in Baltimore in 1819. It was a branch, an independent branch of the Order of Odd Fellows, which is a fraternal organization that started in England in the 1700s. So it's been around for quite some time. If the skeleton goes on, we'll probably delve a little bit more into the history of that organization generally, but more and specifically as it's related to Elkhart. But it's important to know that by the 1970s, a lot of interest in these types of fraternal organization and membership started to wane, and a lot of the chapters started to close. So that certainly makes sense to me why we wound up with a skeleton in the 1970s that's supposedly from the IOF. They were probably, closing up shop. It also explains to me why it looks like a medical specimen, but it came to us in a coffin. We found some records to indicate that fraternal organizations would source their skeletons from medical suppliers. But of course, it still begs the question, why were they sourcing skeletons? What was these fraternal organizations doing with skeletons literally in their closet? And I'll be happy to kind of delve into what we found is the significance of that and the secret dealings of the societies. But if you want to hear that story, you'll have to vote the skeleton into the Final Four. We'll see you for the next one.
All right, there you have it. Thank you, Michelle. Now, you need to tell us which one of these items is going to move on in the tournament. Will it be the brochure saying "plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a winner it is"? Or will it be the skeleton shaking its way into the Final Four? So we're going to be posting this on the museum Facebook page, on the Elkhart County Parks YouTube page. Watch these videos, learn these really great histories. Which one do you want to hear more history on? Vote it on to the next round by leaving a comment, either brochure or skeleton. One of these is going on to the final four, and you have the decision-making power. So watch these videos, learn the history, cast your votes. For those of you who have already voted in the past, thank you for voting. The tournament's only going to get better from here. So taking it from Tournament Central, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.